things I found useful in the beginning of my practice. One of the insights I thought was very useful was that that you don't have to have a perfect mindfulness from the very beginning. Like, for example, usually I think the most disturbed people, most distract people are thoughts. So they try to sit meditation, they want their mind to be silent. If they're still thinking, occurring, then people think, well, my meditation is not working because there's still thoughts in my head. This endless chatter inside my head doesn't stop. But what I realized first, that thinking doesn't have to stop necessarily for you to have good meditation. More interesting for those who are beginning, more interesting than having a silent head, silent mind, is to have continuity of mind, which means you can sustain some sort of continuity, like for example, if you pay attention to the breath, you can have a continued contact with the breath. Even though there might be there might be thoughts in your head, there might be sounds around you, your mind still hears sounds around you, still have sensations in your body, there's thoughts coming back and forth inside your head. But in the middle of all that, you can still be aware of the sensation of the breath. I find out that doing that, like just holding to the breath, I don't need to control everything. I don't need to stop my thinking. I don't need to stop the sounds around me. I don't need to stop the sensations in my body. I can allow all of that to happen, as long as in the middle of all that, I can still have a little bit of awareness of the breath. Even if it's just a little, very faint awareness, almost disappearing, but still I can hold on to it. In the middle of all that mess, you can still have awareness of the breath in a continuous manner. Like you mostly, you invest in a beginning, perhaps it's more useful to invest into continuity of awareness instead of perfection of awareness. Instead of having this perfect mind completely clear of any distractions, any thoughts, any images, just completely silence. Instead of trying to do that, just invest your efforts into have a continuity inside of it, like being able to sustain the breath for a long period of time, even though you might have to divide your attention with other things, but you do like step by step. First step, you just learn how to have a continuity of awareness. What happens is as you do that, you become more skilled in doing that. That awareness just grows naturally. In the period that your mind is more agitated, then there will be a lot of thinking, a lot of thoughts, a lot of images, a lot of energy trying to pull your attention away. But you just know, in a relaxed manner, you keep some attention to the breath. You don't let everything get carried away by the distractions. But then as you continue to do that, there will be periods that your mind is not too agitated, your mind becomes more naturally quiet, and because it does that, like it just, from being very agitated, it oscillates back into being quiet for a little while. And then when the mind is naturally quiet, then the awareness of the breath just expands, it becomes more unique, like undivided with other things. And that awareness just keeps feeding the mind, like being aware of the breath affects the mind. Usually the mind is a reactive phenomena. If it makes contact with that irritates, then it gets irritated. If it makes contact with something that generates pleasure, then it feels pleasure. If the mind have contact with the breath, it usually calms down. That's the reaction of the mind for the breath. So if you just keep attention on the breath, you don't have to calm your mind down. You just keep attention to the breath, you know, in a good quality way, in a relaxed manner, in a compassionate manner, in a kind manner, in an energetic manner, like with energy, awakeness, with awareness, awakeness. Just do that. Just keep the mind in contact with the breath. Just do it for long enough, the mind naturally starts to become more calm. Naturally start to relax, naturally start to, the attention, the awareness of the breath naturally start to expand. And it is done like with minimal effort. You just do effort enough that the mind doesn't get completely carried away by distractions. That doesn't require too much effort. But if you want perfection, if you're like, I don't want any distraction at all, then that's very hard. That takes a lot of effort, and probably you're going to fail. But no, just enough effort so that even though other things are trying to pull my attention away, I still can keep a little bit of contact with the breath. That's possible to be done. It doesn't take too much effort. And because it doesn't take too much effort, it's not stressful. Because it's not stressful, then doesn't agitate the mind. It is a peaceful activity. So being a peaceful activity, it is compatible with what we're trying to do. And then as it develops, it becomes peace expands more and more. As you become more capable of holding the breath in your awareness, that awareness of the breath is already peaceful to a certain extent. So it just becomes more and more peaceful naturally without having to do anything. You don't have to make the mind become peaceful. The mind just becomes naturally peaceful. You just stay there. Just stay there, experiencing that peace. And so that's one thing I thought was very helpful when I learned. Because at first I tried to do like everyone else, just trying to stop thinking, stop the mind from getting attracted towards external stimulus. But then you say, well, actually, I don't have to do this. And then, because also it is against the nature of the mind. It is natural for mind to be attracted to sounds. It is natural for the mind to be attracted to sensations. It's just a natural mechanism. You're always like checking out what's happening. Some sound appears, what is the sound? It's just something that mind does. Like it's okay. It's normal. There's nothing wrong with it. And there's nothing wrong if there's a sensation in your body. There's nothing wrong for the mind. Oh, what is the sensation? You just check. It's fine. You don't have to stop that. You should just that in the middle, you don't let go completely of the breath. Just create a little bit more space for the breath to exist. And then on the periphery of that space, you can let the mind do whatever is natural for the mind to do. As long as in the center you can hold a little bit of the breath, experience the sensation of the breath. So you sustain that for long enough, the mind naturally slowly start to calm down, start to lose interest for the outside world, start to lose interest in sounds, start to lose interest in sensations in the body. Little by little start to lose interest in thinking, in thoughts. So again, you don't have to stop thinking. you just lose interest. Think you can still keep going on, but you're just not paying attention anymore. You're just paying attention to the breath because you feel pleasure in experiencing the breath. So it's something that happens in a natural manner. You don't have to force the mind. The mind will naturally pay attention to the breath if the sensation of the breath is pleasant. Because in the end, that's pretty much more or less what the mind always does, like just looking for experience, trying to experience something. So if you give something for the mind that is interesting to experience, the mind will experience, will be happy experiencing that. So if the breath becomes pleasant, and the mind doesn't necessarily have anything against experiencing the breath if it is interesting, if it is pleasant. Usually what happens with people at first is that they just don't feel anything interesting in the breath. They don't pay attention to the breath. They kind of, that's boring, there's nothing happening, it's just the breath. And their mind is more used to the kind of pleasure that comes from excitement. And they're also used to the strong sensation of self, of I am feeling, I am thinking, I am worried, I am angry, I am this, I. The strong sensation of I present all the time. And then we put attention on the breath. No, there's not really anything. I am doing nothing. The breath just breathes. You don't need to breathe yourself. The breath just does it naturally. You don't need to make any effort to breathe. You just sit with a good posture and relax, and the body breathes. There's no I doing anything there. Just the body working naturally. So the mind misses. I miss the sensation. I am doing something. I am important. I am acting. I am taking part of something. If you don't have that sensation, then, like for example, the mind will naturally, mostly, even think of painful thoughts, painful memories, just for the sake of experiencing the sensation I am having painful feelings. This is my memories. Even if we will choose pain instead of not feeling the sensation of I. It's ego. So that's reason why one of the reasons why it's so difficult to keep the attention on the breath. It's just the mind is craving for something else. But then you add, well, you do several things. No? One thing you do, like which is very helpful, you go to a more quiet place with less distractions, less sounds, or even if you go to a place with this, maybe there's a lot of sounds, like in a street, you live in the city, and there's a busy street in front of you, in front of your house. As long as you can close the door, close the window, and then you know for sure, like I am inside my own house, I am alone here. Whatever sounds that is around me is not a problem. It's not my problem. It's someone else outside. I don't have to worry about anything. Now for the next 1 hour, there's nothing to worry about. Even though there may be sounds outside, it doesn't matter. It's not my problem. It's nothing to do with me. So that also helps, can be very helpful. Because, like, for example, if you're sitting in a quiet place, but you're not alone, then you're always worried. So there's a sound. What is the sound? Is there somebody calling me? Is something broke? Like, do I have to go there? This other person needs my help. So it's much easier if you are alone. If you ask me, what is more beneficial, like more silence or being alone. I say being alone is more beneficial. It's more conducive to meditation than being in a totally quiet environment. That's why when you do a retreat, I tell people don't even say hello to one another. Just be on your own. Like, forget about other people. Don't think about other people. Don't notice what other people are doing. If somebody's sitting here, there, somebody is doing snoring during meditation, somebody's moving during meditation. It doesn't matter. Just don't pay attention. It's not even a problem. Don't let other people become a issue, become a subject to your attention. That's how you develop what's called chitta viveka, seclusion of the mind. But you can also have seclusion of the body, and just go to a place where you can be alone. So then you don't have to worry about anything which is around you. Like if you go to a room, close the door. If you go to a house that is empty, or go to a place in the forest or in the mountains, you can sit under the tree, you can sit in the shade, and just forget, like, well, around here is not my house, it's not whatever happens here is not my problem. So you just don't worry about it. Even though there might be sounds around you, so it doesn't concern me. You lose interest in the sounds. So that's helpful. Another thing that's helpful, like I said, have a peaceful attitude during your meditation. That is very helpful as well. Trying to use peaceful dhammas. That is an easier way of saying this. Like, trying to use wholesome dhammas, peaceful dhammas. Because the word dhammas means pretty much like a phenomena, means anything is dhamma. It's a very generic word. So you try to use peaceful mind states. That's probably a better translation in this case. Try to use peaceful mind states to support your practice. Don't use anger or anxiety or hatred or this kind of unkind attitude or greed to be the motivation for your practice, because this will not be peaceful. Even though you might be able to do the external aspects of practice, like sitting for many hours, forcing the attention to stay on the breath, you can't force yourself to do that by willpower, by desire, by anger, but it will not culminate into samadhi. So it's not very exactly what we're trying to do. And also you're not practicing wholesome mind states, which is also something we're trying to develop. And it's not just unsustainable. If you practice like that, it's so tiring. It just drains your energy away. So it's unsustainable in the long term. In the long term, it's just unsustainable. A lot of people say that, like they even I once had that as well. I even asked that to Ajahn Kalyana when I was young, a novice. Oh, I wasn't not even a novice, but just like an anagarika in the monastery. I remember asking about it, like I can't sustain attention on the breath, but the problem is after half an hour doing that, I'm exhausted, to the point I have to lie down, like I just so tired, I have to collapse in my kuti, in my hut, collapse there. I have to lie down because I'm exhausted and stuff. So I don't remember what he answered, but I remember to make that question. So, but now I know the answer. Like I'm just using desire, using volition, not using a skillful way to hold the attention, or not using a skillful mind state. So instead of using greed, you can use whatever works for you. See what your mind is sensitive to. If your mind reacts well to compassion, then use compassion. If your mind reacts well to faith, use faith. If your mind reacts well to peace, use peace. Just have this kind of peaceful inclination. Incline your mind towards peace. They say, well, the breath is peaceful. Okay, so just feel the breath. This is peaceful. This is good. So that's one of the problems. Now, people don't see peace as being something pleasant. People see peace as being something boring. So when they experience something peaceful, they reject it. Oh, this is unpleasant. This is boring. I want to be stimulated. So it takes a while for the mind to change from that addiction for stimulus, and little by little start to learn to appreciate silence, to appreciate peace, to appreciate stability. Mostly mind delights in I call this change, in constant change. If it's something stable and constant, this is not pleasant. But in time you learn to appreciate that. Little by little, you learn to appreciate that. Especially if you can sustain, if you're lucky enough to one day keep trying. Meditation is not quite good. It's kind of uncomfortable, awkward activity you do. You don't see, know is this working or not. But you just insist. You keep trying, keep learning, keep experimenting. One day, by mistake, you might just hit the right spot. One day you just sit, for example, I myself, I remember one day also when I was an anagarika at Wat Pah Nanachat, I just went to sit in the old outside sala, which now doesn't exist anymore. I went to sit there. I was sitting there by myself, and then there was kind of this awkward, unpleasant pain in my back, and I changed my posture, my legs were not comfortable, then the mosquito started biting me. I was hot. I was very sweating, and then it just spontaneously, I didn't really have the idea to do that. I didn't decide to do that. It's something that happens naturally. I just kind of, you know what? To hell with this body. I don't care anymore. To hell with it. I'm not going to worry, because it was so many different body uncomforts. Then I'm trying to fix one, and then the other one started to bother me, and I had to fix that, and then the mosquito tried to bother me. So, you know what? Forget about it. To hell with this body. I remember this phrase now. To hell with this body. Just forget about it. And then my mind became quite peaceful. Quite peaceful. Just naturally, it just stopped worrying. It just released, let go of all the concern and worries, and then went into a very pleasant state. So that kind of thing will give you faith, will give you hope. Even though it's just like one experience in the middle of 1,000 different ones, which is unpleasant, but you have one pleasant experience. So say, so this is where we're going. This is what we're trying to achieve. So this is how it feels. This is the objective. So it's okay. So that is something in the other side of all this confusion, all this effort to sit cross-legged, sit with the back straight, and paying attention to the breath, and then nothing happens. There is something in the other side of that, and then that gives you hope, and what you experience is something pleasant as well. So okay, I have a desire, a volition to attain that, to have that as a goal, as an objective in yourself. So that gives you energy to keep practicing, keep searching, keep practicing. And then you keep practicing, you're going to experience that again. You're going to experience that more and more often. And then it gets to a point, for example, first time you have not this kind of very quick experience, but first time you have a sustained sort of peaceful mind. You sit meditation, manage to pacify your mind, it becomes peaceful, pleasant. And then when you think about it, say, well, wow, this is amazing. This is so good. This is incredible. I want this again. I want more. And then, of course, when you sit meditation with that desire, that greed, I want that again. I want the same thing I experienced the other time. I want again. And the mind becomes coarse. And then you can't repeat it because now the mind is full of greed. So there's tension. And then it doesn't happen. And then when it doesn't happen, you become frustrated. And become frustrated, you become angry. And become angry, you become disappointed, angry at yourself. You become sad that you cannot experience the same thing again. And you start to think, oh, I'm a failure. I can't manage it again. I'm doing it for so many long time, not working anymore. So if you're not careful, even when you have success in your meditation, it can trigger a cycle of unwholesome mind states that can make you even give up. I've seen people giving up because of that. They were trying. They have one good meditation, they become super excited with that, and then they get so attached to it, they can't repeat it. They cannot repeat the same experience again, and then they become so disappointed, so frustrated, so depressed that they give up altogether because it's too painful. So the experience of not being able to quiet the mind when you have never seen what a quiet mind looks like is already unpleasant enough. But when you know, I know exactly what I'm missing. I have seen it, I know how pleasant that is, and I'm not getting it. So that's even more frustrated, even more disappointed. So it requires a little bit of intelligence to be able to deal with that. And then one nice thing that happens as well, when you repeat that experience again and again and again, you keep experiencing the mind being peaceful. In time, when you start to think about it, so it kind of happens naturally as well. It's just that your mind, you realize, this peaceful state, there's nothing really special about it. It's just what mind does when you stop bothering it. When you stop tormenting yourself with thinking, with desires, with stupid ideas, with thinking about the past, worrying about the future. When you just stop tormenting yourself, that's what the mind does. It's just natural. There's nothing really special about it. It's just this. It's just normal, actually. And it does become normal. What once was a very special experience that you have once in a while, it just becomes your normal mind. It becomes your daily life. Just wake up in the morning and say, well, here it is. Your mind is just peaceful. It is not worried. If there is nothing to worry about, then the mind is not worried. It's just normal. So you carry that to your daily life, and that's when you see actual changes in yourself. The results from meditation practice. This just becomes my normal mind. Before was the mind of meditation. The mind that you achieve when you make an effort into meditation, then you achieve that mind. Eventually that mind becomes just normal, just what you have. If you're not doing anything, then that's it. That's what it is. It's just peaceful, pleasant. It's a pleasant experience. But as a suggestion for those who might in the future experience this problem of the mind become peaceful, and then naturally will greed and desire to repeat that experience will arise, And then naturally that greed and desire will make your mind coarse, and therefore you cannot repeat the experience you want so badly to repeat. So what do you do, when you're faced with that? Because it's kind of as a dead end, like you don't know how can I undo this. No? Now, of course, the normal suggestion, the normal instruction you have is that let go. Just let go. Don't be greedy. Like, don't get attached to your pleasant experience in meditation, which is easily said and done. It's easy to say that. Yeah, don't get attached. Yeah, but have you tried before? You know how pleasant it is. How can you just say that? Like, even like you imagine my case. Like, I gave up everything. I gave up my life for this. Like, I gave up my job, my girlfriend, my everything, to search for this. No? And now that I got it, you say, "Yeah, don't get attached." You gotta be kidding me. That's easily said and done. No? But of course, that is the right answer. No? If you have wisdom, then just what you do. You just don't get attached. Just don't let your mind latch onto that. Just say, "Wow, this is just normal mind. Mind creates pain. Mind creates pleasure. Yes, that's fine. It's just the mind doing its thing. Just stick to your meditation object. Just stick to the breath. Don't let your mind get excited about suffering or happiness or whatever. Just keep an equanimous attitude. That is the right answer. But that is the right answer if you are intelligent. And if you are ignorant like me, if you are not so clever, you cannot digest that answer. You're not intelligent enough to make use of the answer. But never mind, because if you're not intelligent enough, if you are stubborn, if you insist, if you have then what you do, you just, because something else perhaps you will notice along the way, is that whatever experience is repeated again and again and again, it becomes boring. Don't matter, like what the most delicious food you can taste. If you eat that food every day, and after a while, it just becomes boring. And from boring, it becomes irritating even. If you have a music that you like very much, you listen it once, I want it again. You listen again, I want it again. You listen it again, so it's not so pleasant as before. After a while, it just becomes boring. If from boring, it actually becomes irritating. So you're sitting there, so God damn, how can I not get attached to this? It's so pleasant. I don't know how to not be attached, not to desire something so pleasant as this. Like, well, what can I do? So, well, I'm just going to repeat that experience again and again and again until it becomes boring. Then when it becomes boring, the mind will release naturally. So you do that. Just take meditation, try to focus on the breath, and on this kind of pleasant sensation arises, that the mind gets excited, and then samādhi, the peaceful disappears. So you do it again, you build it up, the mind experiences peace, become pleasant, and then greed arises, and then everything disappears again. So keep doing it, until it becomes usual, until like you sit in meditation, and this kind of extreme ecstasy starts to arise in your mind. But you see it 1,000 times before, so whenever this amazing happiness arises, there you go, amazing happiness again, great. Seen it before. You don't get excited anymore. At first, it's such a strong feeling of happiness, you think you're going to explode. There's so much happiness, you even get scared of, oh my God, I'm going to die. This is so strong, like I'm going to have a heart attack or something. But in time, you just, there you go, amazing happiness again, fine, good. It's not seen before. You're not excited anymore. Just the mind experiences happiness goes to a peak, and then it kind of cools down, and then you can maintain continuity of awareness. Because otherwise, what happens is this happiness arises, and your mind becomes agitated. It's too strong. Then you lose mindfulness. But in time, now you don't. If you get used to it, you just say, yeah, that's happiness. Okay. The mind doesn't get agitated, so you can continue with your focus on the breath. Just relax and let it wash through. And this amazing happiness just wash through your body, but you don't get excited. You just keep washing the breath, and the happiness comes, happiness goes, and then it comes again, goes again, and then eventually what happens, that becomes this cycle stops, and you really experience the mind becoming perfectly still, perfectly. That's the only word I have to describe it, just perfection. There's nothing, it's just perfection. There's nothing to be done, there's nowhere to go, nothing to improve, just complete perfection. So then finally you can see something really special, see something that's really special, really worthy of admiring. Yeah, but you see now, the thing I'm trying to talk about is that there is a natural development for this all. There is a natural movement towards all that. There is something that is cultivated. It's not something you just do out of volition. You just don't will this kind of thing into existence. You cannot force your mind to manifest something like that. You can guide the mind, you can apply the mind in a wise manner, in a skilled manner. You can guide the mind towards that goal, but you cannot force it. You cannot force it into existence. You can guide the mind, and then you have to guide the mind. How do you guide the mind? You guide the mind in the present moment. You have to guide the mind through the present moment, the present experience here and now. And not what you wish you were feeling, you wish your body was pleasant, you wish your emotions were nice. That is irrelevant. You have to guide your meditation through the experience of here and now. Right now I am with pain in my back. Right now I am anxious. Right now I'm feeling sleepy. You guide the mind through that. You go through that thing. You don't need to make the mind perfect before you start meditating. That's also very pointless to try to do that. So you need to be willing to deal with here and now, like right here and right now, and have to have skill in dealing with right here and right now. You have to have, like I said, use wholesome mind state to deal with that. Resist the temptation of your usual mechanism that you have learned along your life, mechanism that you have used along your life to learn new things, go to school, be able to get up on time, be able to do unpleasant tasks, that you have used some sort of mental devices to do that. Whether it is like fear of being criticized, or desire to be praised. I'm going to do this, and then people will praise me. I want that praise. I want that feeling of being praised. So that desire for praise, fear of criticism, self-criticism as well, self-hatred, shame, greed, desire, all this kind of mental devices we have used along the years, no? That helped us to get a job, helped us to get education, helped us to get a family, helped us to achieve our goals. No? So it's hard for you to let go of that because it worked. All these years, like it worked. I have now a car, I have a family, I have a house, I have a job, all because of that. But that's fine. Like it's not. It's also will be unfair to deny the value of those mental devices. Like I said several times, they are very good to make you become a good person. They are very useful into making you into a good person. So now it's not the case they have no value. They're not good. They are good. It's just that they are not the right tool to what we're trying to do now. So if you're trying to, let's say, put a screw in the wood, you cannot use the hammer. The hammer is an excellent tool. There's nothing wrong with the hammer. It's excellent, very good tool. But this is not the right tool for the job. Even if you're going to use a screwdriver, there is a right screwdriver. You get one that is too big, it doesn't work. If you use a small screw, then you have to get a small screwdriver. Doesn't matter, but this screwdriver is excellent. Yeah, but it's not the right one. Doesn't matter how excellent it is. That's sometimes when you have to have this kind of humbleness as well. No? Because you just get attached to an idea, no, this is the right way. This is good, like this is very good. Yeah, but it's very good, but it's not the right thing for to what is happening right here, right now. Right here and right now, you need to use forgiveness, for example. Usually you use like this discipline and I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna make it. And it has been very useful. I have got many good things from this. But right now, it's not going to work. And you have to have the humbleness to say, okay, I have to try something different. Something I'm not used to. Something I don't normally do. You have to have enough flexibility to apply the right Dhamma to the right situation. Not be stubborn or arrogant. I'll just say this much, and then we can. Whoever wants to keep practicing can keep practicing. Whoever wants to go take a rest can take a rest. And we'll see. I can see each other tomorrow.